and welcome back to the most amazing channel on the internet. I am your host Rebecca Felgate, and I know that you guys really love a good mystery. I love it too, so for that very reason I bring you the top 10 mysterious people in history. Time doesn't seem to have shed any light on these matters, and for me, I think that number 6 is one of the strangest, but there are a lot of strange things going on in this neighborhood. Before we get into this video, I want to know who the weirdest person you have ever met is. Do you have any strange stories? Let me know in the comments section down below. Are you perhaps strange yourself? Can you realize if you are strange? I think I know that I'm strange, so maybe you know too. If you like this video, do make sure you leave a thumbs up and share it with a friend, and also, leave us a comment. We love reading them, and stick around to the end of the video where I'll be reading comments from a previous video. Check out the links in our description box to our most amazing Instagrams and our sources. Coming in at number 10, we have Jack the Ripper. Who was he? The question has been asked for 130 years, and we still aren't totally sure of the answer. Jack the Ripper famously killed at least 5 people, all women, in and around the Whitechapel area in London between 1888 and 1891, although he has been linked to 11 deaths and could have killed more. When he did kill, it was decidedly grisly to say the least. Of his victims were Mary Ann Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, and Mary Jane Kelly. Famously, the murder cases were never solved, but eyewitnesses around the time of the murders generally described him as being a dark-haired, shaggy fellow. Letters claimed to have been written by the killer himself were sent to the police, in which the author called himself Jack. So, who was the ghoul of Whitechapel? As the crimes happened in the days prior to DNA identification, we can never say for sure, which means he's gone down in history as one of the most macabre mysteries. Coming into number 9, we have the Mothman. Can we call the Mothman a person? Well, by all accounts no, but he or it was certainly humanoid and very, very much a mystery. The Mothman story spans years and hundreds of miles from West Virginia to Chicago, and possibly even Russia. In November 1966, 2 young couples from Point Pleasant in West Virginia claimed to have seen a large grey creature with glowing red eyes and a human body, but 10-foot wings. During the next few days, more people reported seeing a winged man. Indeed, 2 firemen claimed to have seen a large bird with red eyes. A year later saw the Silver Bridge disaster, which saw the death of 46 people. The Mothman was spotted around the scene of the crime. A Mothman-like creature was spotted in 1999 and foreshadowed the Russian apartment bombings. How did he get over there? Oh wait, he has wings. Oddly, in 2017, 55 people reported seeing a Mothman-like creature in Chicago. So what's happening? Coming into number 8, we have the Man of the Hole. This man has lived in isolation in the Amazonian rainforest for 22 years. In the 1980s, the government bulldozed a highway through his part of the Amazon, and of course Amazonian tribes have been under threat ever since we started raising it for agriculture. A lot of tribes have been destroyed by deforestation, and others by actual genocidal attacks. This is the environment that the Man of the Hole has lived in his whole life. Eventually in 1995, the entirety of the rest of his tribe was killed, and he was the only survivor. The Brazilian government have kept tracks on the sole tribesman, but he has fired arrows at anyone who's come too close to him, and honestly, who can blame him? He gets his name as he digs holes filled with spikes to hunt. He's actually been captured on camera, so you can get a little look at him. Here he is. Coming into number 7, we have the Man from Taured. This is the most amazing top 10 favourite. In 1954, a man in a suit who has been described as smart looking was detained at the Japanese border at Haneda Airport, arriving on a flight from Europe. The middle-aged Caucasian man spoke French and said that he was on his 3rd trip that year to Japan, and he had a wallet filled with a mixture of currencies, seeming to verify his business traveller status. Weirdly though, when he presented his passports, officials were baffled. Asking where he was from, the man said Taured as if it weren't no thing. He showed his passport again, and the stamps actually seemed to support his travels, but again, he knew where Taured is. Here's a picture of his passport. Taured basically isn't a place. I say basically, it isn't a place, not in this universe anyway. The man was freaked out when officers told him that they didn't believe him. Adding another layer to the mystery, he was carrying a checkbook to a non-existent bank, and the company he was traveling to visit said that they'd never even heard of him, even though he was adamant that he had a meeting scheduled. When he was asked to point out Taured on a map, he pointed to where Andorra is today. Strange. The Man from Taured was detained in a hotel overnight whilst Japanese authorities authorities decided what to do with him, but by morning, he'd disappeared without a trace. Similarly odd at number 6, we have the Garlic Woman of Isdal. If you were paying attention at the beginning of the video, I highlighted number 6 as being one of the weirdest to me. In November of 1970, a man was walking with his 2 daughters and found the badly burned body of a woman in Isdalen Ice Valley in Bergen, Norway. The woman was found lying on her back in a remote area, but weirdly only her front was burned, her back strangely not so. Also odd, her jewelry had been placed around her. Her charred clothes were found nearby and had the labels cut out. Very strange. So too was the fact that an autopsy showed that she had 50 sleeping pills in her stomach. Stranger still, police investigating the death later found 2 suitcases in lockers at Bergen railway station. One contained prescription-free glasses with fingerprints that matched the woman's. The case also contained a number of different currencies and several wigs. Police later found that the unidentified woman stayed at a number of different hotels using 8 fake names and fake passports. Local businesses reported seeing a woman that matched her description, and one shoe store owner remembers her smelling strongly of garlic. In 2005, after seeing a police sketch circulated, a man who had been 26 at the time said that he had seen a woman fitting her description 5 days before her body was found. He was hiking in the hillside in Fløyen. He remembers thinking it strange that she looked like she was dressed in city clothes rather than as he would expect someone to be dressed for a hike. He said that the woman was walking ahead of 2 men wearing coats who looked quote-unquote southern. She appeared to be resigned and seemed about to say something to him, but then she decided not to. He did report it to the police because he was freaked out at the time, but he was told to forget about it. So what happened to her? Who was she and why was she killed? Was she a spy? We don't know. Her body is buried in an unmarked grave in Bergen, and her coffin is zinc as to preserve her remains. Perhaps one day we'll have an answer, but maybe not. Coming into number 5, we have Aleister Crowley. Aleister is one of the most famous, or perhaps I should say infamous, occultists and magicians in history. He labelled himself as a prophet, having founded the religion of Thelma, which is, maybe pretty cocky. Right? He inherited his dad's fortune at the age of 21 in 1896, and that'll do it. Age 23, he was thrown out of a magic society for dueling. He went on a Himalayan expedition, which he survived, but actually, many of his companions died. He claimed that his body bore the marks of Buddha. Later, he began performing satanic rituals, and he practiced pretty intense bedroom antics, if you know what I mean. In World War I, it is believed that he was a spy for the British government. He took a lot of drugs and was hailed as the wickedest man in the world by the press at the time. Honestly, I have to say this kind of absinthe-swilling occultist, debauched and decadent image kind of makes me like him, like historically speaking. I bet actually in real life though, if you knew him, he was an absolute, I can't say that word on this channel, so why don't you imagine one and apply it to him. Coming into number 4, we have Robert Johnson. Did Robert Johnson make a deal with the devil? The story goes that the popular blues musician met the devil at a crossroads in Mississippi, and when he saw him, he exchanged his soul for musical success. In utter fairness, he did become legendary, but like a lot of musicians said to be cursed, he died at age 27. The legend became enduring, with many people seriously believing it. People think that his song Crossroads is cursed and about the meeting with the devil. Bands who have covered it, including Leonard Skinner, the Allman Brothers and Eric Clapton, have actually suffered losses and tragedies, so maybe it is. Coming into number 3, we have the woman on the grassy knoll. Also frequently referred to as the Babushka Lady, there is a woman out there who was seemingly present the day that President John F. Kennedy was shot in 1963 in Dallas. There are a lot of question marks surrounding the president's death even to this day. Officially, it was ruled as an assassination by Lee Harvey Oswald. That being said, evidence suggests that there was 2 shooters, with many other theories saying his killing could have been from a higher organization, like the Russians or perhaps even the United States government. On the day the president died, there was a woman in a headscarf stood on a grassy knoll as his motorcade went by, but she has never been identified. She was last seen moving away from the scene of the crime in the direction of Elm Street. Who was she? We don't know. Coming into number 2, we have the Somerton Man. Often described as Australia's strangest cold case, the mystery of the Somerton Man is an unsolved case of a man who was found dead on a beach in Adelaide on the morning of December 1st, 1948. The man was slumped in the sand in a sitting up position. His head was resting on a seawall. He had a half-smoked cigarette resting on his collar, and in his pockets was a portion of the final page of a book called Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. I'm not sure if I said that right, I'm really sorry. The sentence he had in his pocket read Tashand in Persian, which translates as simply ended. 6 weeks after the grisly discovery, a suitcase was found at Adelaide railway station seemingly belonging to the man. It bore the name Keane, although nobody of that first or last name was reported missing. A few months after that, a copy of the book with the missing half page was found. It was turned into police by someone who claimed it was just thrown into his car near Somerton Beach, the place where the body was found. The man's cause of death remains unknown, as does his identity. He just was, there and dead. All police know to this day is that he was likely around 40 and presumed to have arrived in Adelaide by train. Finally, coming into number 1, a person that actually is talked about a lot over at I.O., we have Baba Vanga. Baba, she's such a mystery. Her whole story is absolutely nuts. She was born as an unhealthy baby, and when she was a teen, she was lifted up in a tornado, an accident that then led her to lose her sight, but gained the power of healing and, seemingly, the ability to see the future. Before she died, she made a series of pretty accurate predictions, including 9/11, the 2004 Boxing Day tsunami, the sinking of a Russian submarine. It seems that so far her predictions have been around 80% accurate. So, what says she of the future? She says that the 45th President of the United States will be the last, that Muslims will storm Europe, and a freeze ray gunfight will happen in Rome in 2043. We'll find a new energy source on Venus. The ice caps will melt in 2033. The Earth's orbit will shift. Communism will return. There'll be an artificial sun. There'll be a major global drought. The Earth will get a ring like Saturn, which I'm here for. By the year 3000, not much will have changed, but we will all live underwater, and our great-great-great-granddaughters will be pretty fine. In the year 4000, we will get to know God, and we will achieve immortality. The end of the universe is coming right up in the year 5000. Wow, Baba, what a horrifying lady. If only she was here to clarify a few things, because freeze ray guns, I need more information. So guys, that was the top 10 mysterious people in history. What did you think to this list? Who do you think is the most mysterious? Is there something strange in your neighborhood? Do let me know in the comments section down below. True to form, I'm gonna read some comments from a recent video, the top 10 Mexican myths. Now I know my Spanish pronunciations are terrible, and I am so sorry. A lot of you pointed it out. Sorry, I'm sorry. A lot of you also mentioned La Chancla, which is a flip-flop used to hit bad kids, which, wow, blimey. XX Kooky said, hey, Mexicans are gonna raid Area 51 with M chanclas. Who's Mexican here? Cause I am. I'm imagining that, just like a whole wave of people with flip-flops just coming at it. Oh, never mind, it just me said, hey Rebecca, remember when you pressed all the buttons? Thank goodness you didn't get fired. Love you. Nah, they can't fire me. Actually, they can, but don't tell them. Shh. That actually really was a live stream of absolute chaos, but shall I do it again? Who would love to see me live stream in the future? Let me know. Once again, guys, thank you for watching this absolute mystery of a video. We've got a whole playlist, so do stick around on Most Amazing Top 10. Also, in the meanwhile, please do leave a thumbs up on this video and share it with a friend. Check out the links in our description box to our sources and our most amazing Instagrams. I'm your host, Rebecca Felgate. I'll see you guys soon. Bye!